trying to avoid losing 3 straight Sunday versus the Atlanta Falcons, something he's only done once in his career all the way back in 2002. Tampa Bay is an 8.5-point favorite at home. Brady is 9-0 all time against the Falcons. I know our friend Skip is going to have a lot to say on this one. Shannon, you first. How much trouble are Brady and his Bucs in?
Not much. You look at the division that he's in the division with Marcus Mariota, starting quarterback in Atlanta. Jameis Winston and maybe Andy Dalton are the starting quarterbacks in New Orleans. And Baker Mayfield, who's dead last in QBR, is the quarterback in Carolina. He's in that division. There's a great chance they're going to win that division. You win your division, you get a home playoff game. The Bucs are tied right now with Atlanta at 2-2 in the division, and their best player, Cordell Patterson, is just went on IR with dealing with a knee issue. Skip, I don't think we should be surprised. The guy is 45 years of age. He retired in the offseason, unretired, and he's dealing with some issues off the field that would affect anybody in a normal walk of life, let alone a quarterback playing in the National Football League. So I don't think anybody should be surprised given what he's dealing with off the field. And you can compartmentalize a lot of things, and athletes do a great job of compartmentalizing because a lot of times we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. It just so happens that Tom Brady is a really big deal, and a lot of what's going on with him and his wife are playing out publicly. So we get we kind of get a glimpse. But he's not the first guy that's possibly was dealing with something of this magnitude off the field. And you can deal with things a little better if they're in private. But when things, people asking you questions and like, damn, people, like they're looking at you a little different, like, man, you probably should have done this. You probably should have stayed retired and your situation would have been like this. And so I think he has a lot on his mind. Skip, the defense, we talked about it last segment. The defense had one of those games. This is probably the only time they'll give up 40-plus points. I don't know. They might not even give up another 30-point game this season. But they had their one bad game. That's against Patrick Mahomes, who played really well offensively. They were clicking on all cylinders. So for me, Skip, I don't think they're in trouble at all. You look at the next 3 games, they're at home against Atlanta. They go play Pittsburgh with a rookie quarterback in Kenny Pickett. And then you take your show on the road to Carolina and Baker Mayfield. They go 3-0 in the next game, and now all of a sudden they're 5-2, and people will forget about the 2-game losing streak that Tom Brady just went through.
Yeah, you told me just a few days back that Tom Brady this year has played just plain bad. Just plain bad. That was a quote.
For Tom Brady, he's been average. And Tom Brady is anything but average. But if you look at his play, Skip, says he's been average. When you look at his touchdowns, you look at his interceptions, you look at his completion percentage, you look at his QBR, he's been average. And we know Tom Brady, over the course of his career, once he became Tom Brady, he's been anything but average. But his play this year has been very average.
And I think it's been extraordinary. And I'm not even factoring in what's going on in his private life, his personal life. Because if I know Tom Brady, and I think I do, during football season, football has always been number one to him. That's part of the problem.
Yes.
And I believe it remains number one. And nobody has been able to laser focus on football because, to your point, going back, you could go back in many stages of his career. He's, as he says, I've had a lot of SH going on. Well, we all do.
Right.
We just do. You had it when you were playing. Things happen that can really distract you. They can drain your energy for football.
Yeah.
But for some reason, he is so laser focused. He loves playing football so much that when it's time to prepare and play football, he prepares and he plays.
He's never had to deal with something like this. Because what I would always tell my girlfriends at the time, I said, I can bring work home to you, but I can't take you to work. Home has come to work with Tom, Skip, whether he wanted it or not. It is there. Skip, think about it. For 13 years, he's had a sound foundation, and now there's chaos going on back at home. And so it's hard, even the greatest. A lot of times, Skip, when we can deal with certain things. But Tom Brady has had a great foundation at home, and he's never had anything to worry about. Now there's uncertainty at home. There's something for him to worry about, Skip. That's just the way it is. Tom Brady is great, but Tom Brady's human, Skip. I think sometimes you lose sight of that Tom Brady is human.
He's just an extraordinary human. That's all I know. When it comes to football, it's his reason for being.
Yeah.
And I don't think he will let anything threaten football, which is part and parcel of what's happening right now. So to Jen's question, I don't think they're in a bit of trouble because, to your point, you look down the schedule, I'm not going to be surprised if this team finishes 12-1 over its last 13 games, because the only game I see that's really dicey is at 49ers.
Right. Because they can get after your quarterback.
They can get after the quarterback, and it could be a long, scary afternoon for Tom Brady.
And the thing is, Skip, they're probably going to get a couple of those guys back. Trent Williams will be back, their best offensive lineman, their run game. And you better, they're a physical team. You better buckle up.
Okay. But what have I seen so far from Brady? Well, let's put it in perspective. On opening night at Jerry World, he did manage to score 19 points and had a pretty good game. It was 212 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But he put up 19 points on a defense that since then, the Cowboy defense, has allowed 17 and then 16 and then 10.
Right.
So they have scored the season high 19 on the Dallas defense.
But think about Skip. Now, just think about it. Okay, Carson Wentz, Daniel Jones, and Joe Burrow. Those are the quarterbacks that you just said put Tom Brady. You put those guys in the category with Tom Brady.
I'll put Joe Burrow as the potential next Tom Brady.
Okay.
But obviously not Daniel Jones or Carson Wentz. But then he gets thrown right back into a crazy hot fire because he's got to deal with his nemesis on the road at New Orleans, his kryptonite defense that has absolutely owned him since he became a Buccaneer.
Right.
4 straight losses. And he went going on 8 straight quarters without being able to score a touchdown when midway through the 4th quarter of that game at New Orleans, he finally hit Perriman with that 28-yarder that actually traveled about 50 yards across the field.
Okay.
That finally broke that game open 10-3, and then they piled on when Jameis unraveled, right? Okay, so I thought he was really good. He finally beat his nemesis. And then what happens against Aaron Rodgers? Well, when he's called upon at the end of the game, he drives them 89 yards in 13 plays, all the way down to 14 seconds left. He hits Russell Gage with the touchdown pass that brought it up to 14-12.
Right.
And now we got a 2-point debacle because the center wouldn't snap the football, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, he was really extraordinary at the end of that game because that's who he is and that's what he does.
This is not what we expect from Tom Brady. We just don't expect for him to be extraordinary at the end of the ball game. Think about this. Hoyer gets knocked out the second, third play of the game. They're bringing in a rookie, Billy Zappi. Billy Zappi gets...
Brady.
Bailey. Bailey Zappi, excuse me.
Yeah.
Bailey Zappi.
Yeah.
Skip, they get 24 points. Mm-hmm. They got 24 points against a Packers defense at home that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can only get 12 points at home. Mm-hmm. The Patriots got 24 points on the road in Green Bay when Tampa couldn't get but 12 at home. And you talk about Tom Brady's playing good? You compared him to Billy Zappi compared to Tom Brady? Carson Wentz to Tom Brady? Mm-hmm. Come on, Skip. Okay,
what did we just see on Sunday Night Football? We saw Tom Brady have the ball for only 21 minutes to Patrick Mahomes' 39 minutes.
Right.
And in only 21 minutes, he threw for 385 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Okay? That was extraordinary because he did get Mike Evans back. And what I neglected to mention about the Green Bay game, there was no Mike Evans.
Right.
There was no Chris Godwin.
Right.
There was no Julio Jones. So all of a sudden, he's throwing... The game-high targets go to a slot receiver named Russell Gage, who's brand new to their system,
mm-hmm.
right? At New Orleans, the game-high targets went to little Scotty Miller, who's a slot receiver forced to play X or Y as your wide receiver one, mm-hmm. right? So he's been behind the 8 ball, even against Green Bay. He's down to his 3rd string starting left tackle blindside protector. Well, they've been up against it. Their wide receiver ranks have been decimated.
But
so far.
the thing that we applaud these great quarterbacks for is not when they throw to the top receivers, is that when they don't. We give Aaron Rodgers got so much credit because of look at that who he was throwing to in that game. You take these top quarterbacks and they're supposed to elevate. They don't make excuses, they elevate. Yes, he doesn't have Devontae Adams, but when he needed to make a throw, he counted on those young guys. Patrick Mahomes, he does not have Tyreek. But you know what? He elevated those guys. Okay, now it's time for Tom Brady. Skip, you want Tom Brady to have it perfect every single game. At some point in time...
No, I just want a level playing field.
Skip, there have been a lot of guys. There have been a lot of guys that don't have a level playing field. And you don't do this with them and say, you don't talk about who they don't have. You talk about whether he didn't get it done.
No, but in his career, he's done more with less than anybody in the history of the game.
Well, keep it going.
Okay, well, he's keeping it. They're 2-2, right? And they had Green Bay on the ropes, and he's got a center who is starting his third game at center in his life, and he didn't snap the football. If he snaps it, we might be having a very different conversation.
Skip, but the fact of the matter is that I'm just trying to say you score a touchdown. How much time you need? The players done already been, the players in here, you already know you're going for 2. Tom Brady should know he could look down at that sheet on his wrist. Okay, they got 3 2-point plays that's called. He already knows. So but see, Skip.
He tried to check it. Then
you can't. In that situation, you see the clock going down, Skip.
Okay, well, obviously, and it's also only 24 seconds you get on the 2-point try as opposed to, 40 seconds on the
But here's the
regular.
Skip. If you and Ernestine, if you come in late from doing something, and you and Ernestine you got to arrive at this event in 15 minutes, you can't take a shower. You just got Ernestine gonna have your clothes laying out. You just jump in the clothes and go. Tom Brady knew he was already running late, and he wants to shower. He wants to do his hair. He wants to try to watch a late edition of something on television, and it won't work. Go ahead and call the play and live with it.
It won't work when your center starting the third game of his life at center. It won't work.
See, Skip, why won't you, Skip? At no point in time do they ever blame the center for a delay of game. Only with Tom Brady. There have been a lot of centers, but you can't go through your normal checks, and if you got 40 seconds, you're already the clock going to 20.
Okay, so he tried to do too much
yes!
with too little.
Okay, say
too
that.
Much with too
there
little.
You go.
Because Russell Gage is playing a position he's not familiar with. Cole Beasley had just gotten up off his couch that week to come play for Tom Brady, and he's lined up in the slot on the 2-point try. It's